um, most of us can't join due to one reason or the other. But I'm very sure we are going to have um, a higher number of people turning up today. So um, I know some of us will be thinking like, come on, read one. I've been using the internet for years, so I know how it works, you know, because today I'll be talking about how does the internet work. So a lot of you will be like, read one, let's just go straight to the technical parts of the course and get our hands dirty by writing those codes to perform some magic. I know. Okay. Sorry, I'm still trying to admit some other people into the training. So So today we'll be talking about how does the internet work, and I trust you. This is going to be a lot fun because you are going to learn some new things. You probably you know them before, but you don't know this is how they actually work underneath the hood. So and a lot of people do skip this part without fully understanding how everything works. Without having the foundation, it will be difficult to think about performance. It will be difficult to think about optimization and so on. So we are going to start with the basics. Just hang in there. And trust me, you are going to learn something new in this section. So how does the internet work? Most of us know how to use the internet without um okay. Um Please hold on. I want to clarify something. Please, I sent a chat to us. Kindly check, and in case you can't hear me, just make sure you um, join through your device audio. So back to the training. Um, so most of us know how to use the internet without actually understanding how it works. Sort of like electricity in your home. You use it every day, but may not understand the mechanics behind it. And if the electric grid is difficult for us to understand, then the internet must be impossible, right? It is wrong. So in the next few minutes, I'm going to put you in the top 10% of people who understand how the internet actually works. Whenever most people think of the internet, this is actually this is what comes to mind. This bubble cloud. The internet is not a bubble cloud, even in the new age of cloud computing. This whole bubble cloud picture was created by some people more concerned about job security than education. So this is the internet. The internet is just a straight line. It's a wire. It's a straight wire. That's the internet. So the internet is a wire buried in the ground. It might be fiber optics. It might be copper wire, or occasionally beamed to satellites or through cell phone networks. But the internet is simply a wire. It is. I'm very sure you would have seen something like this in the past. Probably some aboki people digging the ground on the road, laying some wire, and you'd be like, what are they doing? So the internet is basically a wire. It is basically a wire. And the internet is useful because two computers can connect directly to this wire and they can communicate when they connect to the wire. So some of the terminologies you'll be hearing in this course and probably you've heard before will be something like servers and web pages. So what is a server? A server is a special computer connected directly to the internet, and web pages are files on that server's hard drive. Don't worry, it's kind of mouthful, but trust me, I'm going to simplify everything, and we are going to get practical with these things. It won't just be like probably we are just giving us some theories and we don't even know how everything works, and you'll be like, come on, read one. A lot of people can give me ebooks. I am here for you to like show me the practical aspect of these things. So every server has a unique IP addresses. You can call them internet protocol addresses, just like a postal address. IP addresses help computers find each other, but since 216.58.223.238 doesn't exactly roll off the tongue. So that's why they decided to like, okay, instead of having giving people IP addresses and getting them confused and making it hard for people to actually memorize these things, and so why can't we just give them a name? So that's why we have something like google.com, we have facebook.com, we have balogrid1.com. But basically all servers have IP addresses, and these IP addresses are just like postal address that you can use to locate a server. So this is how it actually works. Your computer at home is not a server because it is not connected directly to the internet. Computers you and I use every day are called clients because they are connected indirectly to the internet through an internet service provider, ISP. So you can think of internet service providers like the companies that provide you internet and you pay in return. For example, we have MTN, whereby you subscribe for data, you buy data from them. We have Glo, we have Airtel and the likes. So let's say we have a computer over here and I open my browser to visit a website, for example, google.com. So I type in google.com into my browser. So what happens? Technically, when I do that, when I enter Google into my browser, I press enter on my keyboard. So I'm asking my browser, like, I want something to be displayed on my screen. Then I'm asking my browser, like, okay, I know google.com, but who is this guy called google.com? So my browser will be like, I don't know google.com, but okay, I have someone that I can pass the information to, which is the ISP. So my browser will send the request to my ISP, which is internet service provider. So in this example, I'm going to use MTN as our internet service provider. So I'm using MTN to browse. So I'm typing google.com into my browser. I'm asking my browser, like, I need google.com. Google.com will be like, oh, I don't know Google. Sorry, my browser will be like, I don't know google.com, but let me pass the information to your ISP, which is internet service provider, MTN in this regards. So when MTN gets the request, the MTN will be like, I don't know the google.com too, but there is a place whereby I can get his address. So MTN, which is the internet service provider, passes the information to the DNS. DNS stands for domain name system. So DNS is a decentralized naming system for computers, services, or other resources connected to the internet. So DNS is just like a phone book that contains all the domains in the world and their IP addresses. So they know where Google is, they know where balogrid1.com is, they know where facebook.com server is. So when you type google.com into your browser, the browser passes the query to your ISP, which is the internet service provider. The internet service provider passes the information to the DNS, And DNS will be like, oh boy, I don't know Google, but I know where he lives. I have his address. So check him out. So the DNS is going to send off the request with the IP address that it has. It will send it to the ISP, back to the ISP, which is MTN in this regard. So then the ISP is going to send the domain, the ISP is going to send the IP address gotten from the domain name system back to your browser. So when your browser receives this thing called IP address of that particular website, you can think of IP address of as something that every computer has. Anything that is connected to the internet has its own IP address. Everything. That includes your computer, servers, cell phones, and all of the equipment in between. Even if your printer is connected to the internet, it will surely have an IP address. So you can use the IP address to locate anything on the internet. So the IP address knows our location. It knows our address. It knows where the servers are located. So now our browser has gotten the information from the DNS. So which is an IP address, which is for Google. We got 216.58.223.238 back from the DNS. So the browser now sends off another request to Google servers. And it now knows where Google server is located, thanks to this IP address we got from the DNS. So see this IP address as an address. Like, for example, okay, where is Ridwan? Ridwan is in Lagos. So you want to come to me, you want to get some things from me, then you locate me where I am in Lagos. So this is the IP address. This IP address, the browser can use it to locate where Google server is. In this regards, I'm using google.com as an example. If you are visiting something like Facebook, you enter facebook.com into your browser sends the request to your ISP, which is MTN in this regards. So your server, the ISP is going to send the request to the DNS, like, I want facebook.com. So the DNS will tell you, like, I don't know who facebook.com is personally, but I actually have his address. I know where he lives. So take his address, which is the IP address. The DNS will send the IP address back to the ISP, which is your internet service provider, like MTN or Glo or Airtel. Then the ISP will send it back to your browser. Like, okay, this is what I got from the DNS. So this might be useful to you. So the browser will now send another request using this IP address to Google server, because this IP address knows where Google server is. So you can think of servers as essentially computers that are a huge server farms. They have a piece of software running, just like you visited a restaurant and a server can bring you the food you ordered for. For example, you went to Tantalizers and you're like, okay, I want donuts. So you are requesting for something and they are going to provide it to you. So far you make a valid request. So a server knows how to send files when you request for them. My laptop could be a server. Your laptop could be a server. So when I type in google.com, into our browser, and it gets the IP address from the DNS, the browser sends another request off with the new information to Google servers. So when the servers get the request, this is Google server. So when the server gets the request, they'll be like, oh yeah, let me give you what you ordered for. So I have HTML, I have CSS, I have JavaScript. Don't worry about these things, because we'll soon get there. Because I know you're like, what is HTML, what is CSS, what is JavaScript, and they are new. But don't worry, later on in the course we are going to see how they work and what they are. So Google server will be like, okay, I have what you ordered for. I have these files, HTML, CSS, JavaScript. They are files that Google server are going to send back to your browser. So when they send it back to your browser can now be like, okay, I've gotten the files, then let me display what you requested for. So that's how you get your google.com working. That's how you get whatever website you request for working on your browser. So when a web page or files or images or videos travels across the internet, computers break the information into smaller pieces called packets. When information reaches its destination, the packets are reassembled in their original order to make a web page. They are reassembled in their original order to make a picture. Probably you requested for a picture. They are reassembled in their original order to make a video. Probably you requested for a video in the first place. So okay, imagine you are at work sitting next to your boss, and you are both surfing the internet. Your boss is doing some market research on the internet, and you are sitting beside him updating your Facebook profile. You are both sending packets back and forth over the internet. But what's to keep your packets from accidentally ending up on your boss's screen? That could be embarrassing. Like probably you are chatting and maybe a romantic chat with your babe, and you know, accidentally your boss, because you are sitting beside each other, he got to like get your message on his phone. It could be very, very embarrassing. So the solution to that is IP addresses and routers. Now, I've actually explained to us what IP addresses are. They're just like postal address, or let's say your physical address, whereby you can be located if something is needed from you. So anywhere two or more parts on the of the internet intersects, there is a piece of equipment called a router. Sorry, let me explain this image. Let's say you requested for an image on the internet. This is the original image on the left. They are going to be broken down into smaller pieces called packets. It's just be like into different pieces. It doesn't really matter how they got to the final destination. The first one can get there last, and the last one can get there first. But when they get to their destination, they have to recompile. They have to reconfigure back to the original form they are requested. So anywhere two or more parts of the internet intersects, there is a piece of equipment called router. In this regard, this is R1, and we have like 3 routers here. So we have 2 computers, and they are intersecting at R1. So routers direct your packets around the internet, helping each packet get one step closer to its destination. So every time you visit a website, upwards of like let's say 10 to 15 routes may help your packets find their way to and from your computer. Imagine each packet as a piece of candy wrapped in several layers. The first layer is your computer's IP address, because in this regards we have computer A having a different IP address and computer B having a different IP address. Your computer sends the packet to the first router, which adds its own IP address. So each time the packet reaches a new router, another layer is added until it reaches the server. Then when the server sends back the information you requested for, it creates packets with identical wrapping as the packet makes its way over the internet back to your computer. I think I'm trying to make sense in that aspect. I'm coming now to see if we have any. Okay. So each router unwraps a layer to discover where the packets, where to send the packets next. So until it reaches your computer and not your boss's computer. And that is how the internet works. Oops. That sounded like a whole bunch of stuff that's happened in between. A lot of back and forth. And whenever we are on the internet, everything is quite fast. But yet, underneath the hood, all of that is happening. And it's so amazing to think of how fast everything works. So in 5 minutes or less, you are now easily in the top 10% of people who understands the basic of the internet. So that you won't think that I'm kind of making things up. So let's just see how these things work. So I showed us the other time, like, okay, the each server or each website has its own IP address. So instead of us sending a request to DNS to request for the IP address, why can't we just type this IP address directly into our browser and see if it works? So I'm going to show you my browser. Actually, I use Google Chrome, and that is just my preferred browser. So let me just type in the Google's IP address is 216. Okay, let me show my screen. Sorry. So this is my browser. So Google's IP address is 216.58.223.238. That is okay. So instead of going to google.com, I can just type in the IP address and see what I'm getting from C. I got google.com. Let's try another IP address. I have Facebook here, which is 157.240.35. So let's see what we are going to get back. Instead of going to Google Facebook.com. You see that? So that means if we know the IP address of a website already, we can just go ahead and go to the IP address directly instead of putting google.com, facebook.com. We can put the IP address and we get which the browser is going to automatically locate on their servers. If it is Facebook servers. If it is Google servers. If it is balogridwan.com servers. So in the next section, we'll do something fun. We are going to break the internet. We can use Facebook or google.com as an example, and we are going to toy around the internet and see how everything works. So see you in the next one. So if you have any question as regards this session, I'm going to unmute and you can ask questions and we can interact. And I'll try my best as much as possible to. So if you want to talk, okay, let me unmute Sulaiman. Hello, Sulaiman. Hello. Sulaiman, I can see you raising up your hand.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you clearly, loud and clear.
I want to ask if someone can have